Welcome, everybody, to Dead Talk Live. And tonight we have a very special guest with us, Bill Sage. Bill, thank you so much for being here. Happy New Year. How you doing today?
Happy, good. Happy New Year to you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. So let's get started. You have a very long, impressive resume, okay, going back to the late 80s. I always love to hear how did your journey into acting begin? Tell us how you got into this business.
Well, I was on a very different track. I was from a military family, moved around quite a bit, and I was sort of expected to become either go into the military or become an engineer, and those things were fine for me. Um, but I just got sidetracked about halfway through college, and took an elective as and never was in the high school plays. I was never um, any part of that. And it just hit me at the right time, at the right angle, and and then I auditioned for some what they were called then was a theater professional theater training school, and so I got in the ones that I auditioned for, and went to SUNY Purchase and met people that I've worked with subsequently over. I still work with them today,
Mm-hmm.
like Hal Hartley, E. Falco, um, Robert Burke, many, many, many others. So it's sort of referred to as the Purchase Mafia.
That's great. I love to hear how everyone's different story. I mean, there are people that have trained, and there are other people who just sort of backed into the business. And once they tried it, they fell in love with it. Looking back on your career and all the success that you've had, uh, are you satisfied with the choice you made? Do you love your job? Do you love acting?
I love it more and more. The older I get, I'm finding that I'm enjoying it. I'm so grateful to be able to make a living doing this, and I enjoy the process of it more and more. Just the pure, um, just the pure craft of acting. Just I find myself loving it more and more, and it surprises me to tell you the truth,
Do you
because because it's especially it's because I've done so many indies. Um, they can take a pound of flesh,
hmm
um, but I don't know. I love it. As I'm becoming one of the older people on set, or often the oldest person on set, it's I'm just more charmed by it
even with all the experience that you have, do you still find yourself learning new stuff as you're going along?
constantly, constantly. I always want to see what a new generation is bringing in. And one thing about being an actor and working in film, and of course I've done a lot of theater, but in you're dealing with a lot of people from a bunch of different generations. Now, like in indie film, you have the very young people in their 20s are starting out with a different technology,
hmm
and I'd love to see how they're telling stories.
When
Um,
we were growing up, of course, TV was always kind of frowned upon
yeah,
as an actor. Everybody's goal was to be on the big screen. Now everything has reversed with technology coming in. Uh, how has that transition been for you? And do you like it? Do you like where we are today, where there is so much more opportunity and TV has become the new uh, golden place to land?
yeah. I think it all has its, it's good and bad, and but I really enjoy doing. I mean, I've had the chance, the opportunity to do some really great TV. So, um, it's not usually the network stuff. I'll do the network stuff that allows me that keeps paying residuals and allows me to keep doing the indies that I still love. And it's a rough time for indies.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. But independent films also is not something that existed back in the 80s and the 90s. It did exist, but it was, not a lot of people had access to view it, as opposed to today, where, you can make a film on a very low budget, and at least get it viewed. Does your heart, like right now in where you are in your career, really lie in helping independent films and starring in them as opposed to big studio films?
Well, I miss the days of you could do a film and it would be playing at you would be playing in art houses, and many of them have closed down. But something like the Angelica Film Center is still
Yeah,
around, and but so many of them have closed, and I miss that. I gotta say, but you're right. There's there's many things that can be viewed, on on television. If it gets out there.
exactly. And
And
you have had the fortune of playing a wide spectrum of characters throughout your entire career.
yes,
You can't say that you've been pigeonholed into playing just a bad guy or just a good guy. You've
right.
really have been blessed and played a wide variety of characters, a lot of drama, but then you have the horror that's been
Yes.
sprinkled in there in some big roles. In regards to you doing horror films, where does that lie in your heart? Do you enjoy doing horror flicks?
I think at the top, I think that horror right now, particularly with my love for independent film, horror is a venue that, well, you can get something done.
Hmm.
You can get a budget for that, and you have to be careful about what you're getting involved in. But um, the horror fans, the people who appreciate horror at many different levels, are the real. They tend to be artists themselves. They tend to be um, anyway. They're like nerdy. Um, they're like nerdy Hell's Angels or something.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, I
just like
totally understand.
the best. They're the best fans. Just the I enjoy talking to them. I enjoy running into them. You know, I don't know, man. I've really fallen hard for horror,
That's
and
great.
everything from the slow burn kind of stuff, like you take something like We Are What We Are.
Hmm.
It's probably the best time I've ever had doing anything. I mean, I always have a great time, but that was special.
Hmm.
And to like to more like Fender Bender, Thrasher kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
So
you
when a
know,
s- so when a script comes your way, let's say a horror script, and you're reading it, they're asking you to be a part of it. What is it that you look for on whether or not you want to be a part of this project?
that's a good question. Well, first the quality of the script, you know, but sometimes you just end up having to do what's next. So that really is a part of it too.
Yeah.
But I look for certain archetypes. What is, and I love that horror can veil. You can put a great story. You can put like a really heavy kind of um, message in there that something that might be going on in society.
Exactly.
You can really couch it in horror. Horror is um, we need that place where we can be disarmed by our demons, and but have it in the but have it in a safe space. It's important to it, you know.
It is.
Uh, and I'd
And
love to be a part of that.
and horror, like I mentioned it with my guest yesterday, it's a great outlet for social commentary, to make a
Huh.
statement on what's going on in the world today. And
Mhm.
horror seems to be a great outlet for that. So you were in the Wrong Turn reboot, okay? It wasn't a sequel, it was a reboot. Now, the Wrong Turn, it has a significant cult following. Uh, and, they decided to reboot the franchise. What are your thoughts of reboots in general? And then we'll dig deeper when it comes into the wrong turn reboot. But what are your feelings and thoughts on reboots in general?
In general, I don't like it. In general, I want new material. Just don't keep doing the same old thing over and over. You know, I want to see things that they might want to reboot. Things are getting rebooted so quickly.
Yes.
Uh, so now's a time of like really dig into. Don't just go back to our own nostalgia. Now that look, but that said, I love working on the foundation, and I love that that Alan was a part of that. So
Mm-hmm.
and uh, I don't know. I thought that it took a very, I mean, look, We Are What We Are was a version, but very, very different than the original version that they had done in Mexico. Um, and, it was better than the original for sure. Um, and this is, I mean, I think I really love the film. I mean, and I don't come away from everything that I do feeling that way. I love the film. When I read the script, I thought it was very good, and it sort of it came to me because the character was described as something very, very different,
Mm-hmm.
and it came to me through an actress that I'd worked with before, Katia Winter. We did The Wave together. We were in The Catch together. Um, um, there was a Nancy Nair casted it, and Dominica, I forget her last name, but she's a casting associate there, a friend of Katia,
Yeah.
and she sort of made it happen.
Now,
Um, and I
now,
was great. I was thrilled to be a part of it. I really loved working on it.
so were you a fan of the whole Wrong Turn franchise leading up to that?
You know, I only saw the first one. I only saw the first one, and I really did the one that you know. Anyway, it was a long time, but I really did like the first one. They had some great actors in it.
It was great.
Yeah,
It,
great.
it
You
was
know,
great. So here now, let's
but they made
go.
like I know they made like six of them.
Yeah.
So to reboot something like that, but um, it, when I first heard about it, I was like, nah, no, no.
Well, that
Yeah,
leads me to my next question
yeah.
because Wrong Turn, like I said, has a very specific cult following. Okay.
Mhm.
So now when you take that and you reboot it, it's risky. Okay. Because that, as you know, horror fans are very loyal. And if you take their franchise that they're a fan of and you decide to reboot it, there's a good chance you might go the wrong way and upset a whole range of fans. Did that at all ever cross your mind? Or when you read the script, you're like, you know what? They're doing this the right way and I want to be a part of this.
Yeah, I thought that this goes. I mean, I just saw the first one, and I thought that this goes deeper. This is uh, this is more interesting. This is it's look, but I have a love for the blood and guts thrasher kind of stuff. I love that too. I love it. And I love The Shining, and I love things like Don't Look Now is the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life. Uh, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
What Nicholas wrote. Oh God, Julie Christie and Donald Sutherland. I mean, that's terrifying to me.
yeah.
Um, but I love the Freddy Krueger stuff. So um, no, I wasn't worried about it. I think we made a very good film.
Was
You know,
also Alan's participation in this film also make the decision easier on you to take this role?
You know what? I think it did. I think that was really important. You know, the fact that he was involved in it, um, you know, meant that it was going to be. And we had good actors involved. You know, some really good actors.
There were. It was a good cast. So I'm assuming you did not. The role was offered to you. You didn't have to go through any kind of audition process or anything like
I
that.
didn't know. You know what? They wanted because they had described him as something. He was supposed to be like 6'7" and just a whole different, you know. And um, so I kind of wanted them to know what they were going to get in this situation. Sometimes you want to, and I just, but what I was working on another film called The Dinner Party at the time, um, and I just my audition was just talking to the producers and the director, saying, this is what I bring to this. This is what I think. This is you know I I brought up something about Sonny Barger, who was the original Oakland chapter of the Hells Angels, and this guy was was a little guy. He was like 5'7", and then he ran and he ran these guys, and I thought that he has to be he has to be powerful
Hmm.
in who he is. It's not just a physical presence. He has to you have to have a sense that he has a this strong morality that he believes in. What's great about the foundation is that they have a really good point of view. I
Yeah.
mean, they're brutal, but you know they're bringing up some things that are pretty on point. A lot of things that I agree with.
And when it goes to movies like The Wrong Turn, it goes into the line of like movies like The Hills Have Eyes,
Yeah.
where people take a wrong turn, and it's always somewhere in West Virginia. And I live in Virginia, and because of the movies that I've watched growing up,
Are you
I
in Virginia?
I've never crossed a state line.
Yeah. Don't go off the trail. When you're on the Appalachian Trail, stay on
Yeah, it's like I've never crossed a line into West Virginia, not only because of these like mutated people that live there, but then you have like the Blair Witch Project, who where it supposedly also takes place. It's technically Maryland, but that area of Maryland, West Virginia, Virginia sort of all come together in this little triangle. But what do you think of those kind of movies like and Deliverance as also another movie uh, that is supposedly in West Virginia. So when you go into these like these families, these mutations, I guess for a lack of a better term, do you like that style of genre?
it. I do. Yeah, I do. I think there's a lot of new things that can be done with it now, because now that divide in our country is powerful, and
Oh yeah.
a lot of there's a lot that it's fertile right now.
Was
What
it?
we what one imagines of the other,
Mm-hmm.
um, and you know, one perceives the other as completely irrational, and that's really where a
It's
lot of
sad. It's sad, but it's absolutely true. We are definitely divided, and both sides think they're correct, and it's like who's correct, and it's for lack of a better term, it's a big shit show. Uh, your character in Wrong Turn is Venable. Was it
yeah.
always? I mean, was that the character that it was known you wanted to play, or was there debates on you playing other characters in the
No,
film?
no, that was the part. That was the part. Venable. And
Did
you know, yeah.
so? I mean, your character itself. Uh, did you add anything to it? Did you stick straight, with the script? Did the filmmakers allow you leeway to sort of bring your own perceptions of what Venable should be into the role?
Um, Yeah, Mike Nelson, who directed it. Yeah, he. I mean, once you know, I just took it, you know, and well, one of the things is that we no, it's all script. I stuck to the script on this one. It's well written, and we worked with a dialect coach, and we were going to use an old. It was a Nord kind of language.
Mm-hmm.
What we used was we're actually speaking it. Um, we're speaking the Faroese language. Now, you just when you're doing when you're speaking another language or something, unless you know it's Italian and you know a bit of it, enough of it to get around. But Faroese is just like you know. So there's the dialect, which was just great to chew on, and then there's actual stuff that actual language that we speak of it. And it's a very old language from the Faroe Islands. You know,
So
um,
you said you had a
one of the oldest existing languages.
you mentioned you guys had a dialect coach on the
Yeah.
set. Did you guys have to work a lot with them to get it
He
right?
wasn't on the set. I worked with him. Yeah, I worked with him. I enjoyed working with him because that was sort of like the SUNY Purchase training, was we had voice, speech, movement, all that kind of stuff, and working with the dialects. I love dialects, and I have an ear for it. So this was it was fun to do. It gave him. It was sort of it was a costume I could wear in addition to the costume that I was wearing and the ram skull that I was wearing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it it carried a kind of authority.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that a lot.
In over 30 years in this business, you have worked with a lot of different types of directors. I'm sure you've seen a lot of different personalities behind the camera. Uh, what kind of director do you feel you are that brings out the best in you? I guess is what I'm trying to say. Do you like somebody that allows you freedom? Do you like somebody that sits down with you and and explains their vision down to a T and give you full direction? What is your preference when it comes to the kind of director you get to work with?
Honestly, uh, just somebody that has a vision and is going to make a good film. That's it. All their job is to they're filmmakers. My job is to just like the gaffer, it's like the sound department, hair and makeup, everything else. They're there to do their job. They don't. A director is, you know, everything's sort of moving, crossing through him or her, and the best ones are the ones who are just kind of easy, you
Mm-hmm.
know, because they're in the most. This is why I haven't directed a film. I mean, it just at the end of the day, I want to go home, and and they have to stick with this thing.
Straight through post
Years.
production.
Oh, for fuck's sake! I mean, geez. Um, and the best ones really trust me, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And I would say like Jim Mickle is he's the who did We Are What We Are. He has an ease, and there's a reason why he's continuing to direct a lot of big things. Just has an ease about him, and uh, and he's sort of just he's a director. I want a director who's just like they're in the front of the canoe and they're just sort of saying, "Oh, there's a rock over there, and there's some trees hanging low over there." So just sort of, that's all it is. You know,
I
you
had
don't
a
have to, you don't have to sit down and discuss character. That's my job.
Exactly. And I had a director, I forget who, but this comment he made really stuck with me. He said 70% of directing is casting. And that conveys to me
Oh,
you gotta trust who you cast for the role and get out of their way once you cast them. Uh,
that's
do you
it.
agree with that?
I do, and I'll take it a step further. So I taught a semester at Columbia University, and I taught I was asked to do this. I was like, I thought I was way over my skis, but I ended up really enjoying this, and found that I wasn't, because um, they the graduate students, filmmaking, film students, and basically what I ended up teaching them, what I ended up exposing them to, is how do you discern when you're casting? Like, what is it that you what? How do you find the actor? What is good acting?
Mm-hmm.
Want them to sort of like discern for themselves what, and that could be different for each of them. You know, there's not. We can all agree that Jack Nicholson is a great actor,
Yeah.
or Meryl Streep is a great actor. But it's a lot of it's going to be subjective, and it should be. Um, and how do you recognize that for yourself? Who's and what you're trying to recognize. So I'd have them watch films that they enjoyed already, and why do they enjoy it? How much of it had to do with the acting, and why?
Mm-hmm.
Why did they like these actors? So, and then I would say, well, in this particular situation, this actor is, doing this, and almost always these were films where uh, the director really turns it over to the actor.
Mm-hmm.
Scorsese's going to make a good movie. He's going to Taxi Drivers. He's going to make a, he doesn't have to sit down and go deep into character.
Yeah.
Who Travis Bickle is. He's gotten the right person.
Absolutely. And for me, like when I'm sitting down and I'm watching a movie and I'm watching actors on the screen, and there's just something, and I can't put my finger on it. I know they're acting, and then you have other actors like yourself, great actors, who
Oh,
it just totally, you don't, I mean, yeah, rationally this is a movie, they're acting a part out, but you're not constantly reminded that they're acting, as opposed to some other actors. They're saying their lines beautifully, they're doing it, they're pouring out their heart in this role. But what would you say that is? What is the magic when it comes to acting that makes the audience just feel wrapped up in what that actor is doing in that moment?
right. So you're seeing an actor. You don't want to see an actor. You don't want to see them working. You
Yeah.
want to see them being. Right? So um, I think it has to do with it's what I call a metaphysician. Right? It's you have to be able to embed yourself in whatever you're doing without watching yourself. You have to have just enough of you know, monitoring what you're doing. You need sort of this equilibrium
Yeah.
between your intellect and your emotions. And the more you can, whatever process you can put yourself through that puts you, you can only be in that particular space. You can only be, there's a life between action and cut, you know,
Okay,
and live it as fully as you can.
that
The
makes
same way
perfect
that,
sense.
yeah, you
Yeah.
get full. You can't help but you're looking at a. I just made a fire over here for the wood stove thing. So when you're watching something burn, you're watching it. You're just fully involved in that. So
Do you think that's something that can be trained, or that's where the talent comes in? Either you have it or you don't.
um, I think both exist. I don't. I think that there is something to be said for doing something for. Um, Putting in a lot of time. That I think that there's truth to that. What is it? 10,000 hour
Yeah.
theory that can become a master at. But at the same time, um, I think there's a lot of things that when I first stepped into acting that I could just do right from the beginning. Now, to sustain a career and to do many different kinds of characters and to go from different mediums. Um, I'm so at this particular point, I don't look back on the training that I had and think that like, well, I didn't need that. No, I'm really glad that I had that foundation. Um, something that something that could ground me,
Yeah.
you know, and getting that training.
And
Um,
something that it's always there that you can fall back on if you need to.
yeah. And then again, I still would say that the best training is working.
Yeah,
And I've known it,
experience.
but there's like a small handful of actors that I've known that, like this actor Kyle Gallner, never studied, never did a play, but he's one of the most amazing actors you'll ever see.
Hmm.
And I was in he played my son in The Catch, and so something like that is just, you know, he didn't need it.
Yeah, you're born
He
with it.
just didn't need it. Yeah, that's you know, so that's an example. There's others, but like that's rare. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I wouldn't
Yeah,
have been confident enough to do that.
it does something very special when you do see it. Now,
Yeah.
considering the spectrum of characters that you've played in your career, is there a character type that you have not gotten to play yet that you really want to do?
Yes, yeah, it's a great question. I feel like it's something that that I think about a lot, and I can't, but I can't sort of. I'm not really sure right now. It's something about. Um, yeah, I want to play a character that I want to play something that is funny, but like a serial comedy kind of
Okay.
thing. And um, it's constantly crossing my path in my imagination,
Okay.
and so
It's good to hear. Now, we're pretty much almost out of time, but moving forward in your career, having done both television and film, uh,
and theater, a
and
lot of
theater,
theater.
of course, where do you want to concentrate more moving forward? It doesn't matter to you whether it's film, TV, or theater?
No, I think the you know I think it's quality episodic television. You know, um, something like I mean, you can think of something like The Foundation, if that were a
Yeah,
series, or We Are Where We Are, or you know, I always think of The Catch would be a great series.
yeah.
Um, I thought The Pale Door was. I don't know if that got a lot of love. Aaron, I don't know if you saw it. Did you see that?
No, I've not seen that.
It's a. I mean, some of these other horror things that I've done, where this would be, you can really do something with this. You know, there was a thing Fender Bender that I did about a guy who you know bumps into millennials and then follows them home and murders them, and he ends up like he survives the thing. Usually it's the you know, but the protagonist gets killed and
Yeah,
the antagonist lives, and it's like, wow, maybe we should keep doing this one,
that's it's usually the opposite of what actually does happen.
right?
Uh, just one more final. I gotta ask you this: when a project of yours releases, like let's say Wrong Turn, okay, it finally gets released, do you pay attention to critic reviews, or once it's out there, you just sort of tune that out?
I have no idea whether people like it's terrible. It's terrible.
No,
It's
at
not
the end of the
terrible.
day, it's whether
I
you're
could,
happy with it.
yeah, I really couldn't give a shit. I
Yeah,
hope people like it, but as far as critics, I mean,
no, yeah.
you know, I don't really care. I hope
There's a
people
reason
like
why
it.
they're called critics.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they have a job to do. I mean, hopefully they're responsible about it and not just into hearing themselves you know getting cute or whatever. But
Exactly, exactly. Bill, I want to thank you so much for coming on here and sharing stories from your great career. Any final thoughts you want to share before we go?
yeah, we see more horror, and
Absolutely. Yeah,
um,
horror, in my opinion, right now, I've said this before, I think it's at its peak in
yeah,
popularity.
it has the potential to really go so much further too, and become, a really really critical part of our society. So
Where
I
I
want to do
feel
more.
where I feel it's still underappreciated is when it comes time for awards. Uh,
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
yeah,
Now, and the kind of thing that you're doing is, I think it's valuable. I think it's valuable to have a show like this where you're, I'm a fan of the show, and you knew that, but um, you know,
thank you,
I
thank you.
think,
That really means a lot. And so I want to thank you. This has been a fascinating, almost 40 minutes. I want to thank our audience for tuning in. Those who are watching live, those who are going to watch this archived, those who will watch us when it goes to digital streaming. I want to thank our guest, Bill Sage. Um, you have a project that's coming out that's in post production. Uh, what is it called?
one's called Hayseed. I have a couple things coming up, um, but it's a strange time right now because of where we are. Things are,
Exactly. The world's
you
in
know,
upheaval.
everything gets delayed, and
Yeah, yeah,
I'm looking forward to coming out of this.
yeah. Well, we'll keep an eye out for it. Thank you, Bill. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for coming on here. Thank you again to our guests. On behalf of Bill Sage and myself, stay safe. And until next time, guys, stay walking. Good night.